Okay, we are live now. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Sardar Çöp. I am the Secretary of the Center for Ottoman-Malay World Studies at Fatih Sultan Mehmet Vakıf University in Istanbul, Turkey. Today is the fourth commemoration of the 15 July Failed Coup Attempt and also the Democracy and National Unity Day in Turkey. At this occasion, we are hosting important academics and civil society representatives from Malaysia and Indonesia to view and to read the 15 July from the perspective of the region. I will briefly introduce our guest, and after that, I will turn the time over to Dr. Mehmet Özay, who will be our moderator today. Our first guest is Mr. Ahmad Azam. He has academic degrees in public administration and business administration from reputable universities in both Malaysia and the US. He is internationally well known for his social activism. He is the independent permanent human rights commissioner of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, IPHRS in OIC for the term 2019 and 2022. And also one of the founding members and the current Deputy Secretary General of the Union of NGOs of the Islamic world, which is known in Turkey as İDSB. Apart from this, Mr. Azam has many active administrative positions in different civil society organizations. Mr. Azam, welcome to our program.
Thank you. Ahlan wa sahlan.
Ahlan bik.
Yeah.
Our second guest is Professor Dr. Hasbi Amiruddin from Ar-Raniry State Islamic University in Banda Aceh, Indonesia. He is an alumni of the Institute of Islamic Studies at Machmudi University, Canada. He has many academic studies on Islamization, Islamic civilizations, and Islamic law in many parts of the world, including Iran, Turkey, and Indonesia, and specifically Aceh. Welcome, Professor Amiruddin. And our third guest is Associate Professor Dr. Yon Mahmoudi. He is the head of the postgraduate program of Middle East and Islamic Studies Department at University of Indonesia. He is alumni of Australian National University, Faculty of Asian Studies. His main study field is Islam in Southeast Asia, and he has many publications on this field. Welcome, Dr. Mahmoudi. Thank you for joining us today.
Welcome, thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Our fourth guest is Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Syauqillah. He is the head of the Terrorism Studies Department at University of Indonesia. His study field is terrorism, cybersecurity, conflict resolution, radicalism, social movements in the Middle East. He is also an alumni of Marmara University in Turkey. Welcome, Dr. Syauqillah.
Welcome, thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Our fifth guest and also the moderator of today's webinar is Associated Professor Dr. Mehmet Özay. He is a faculty member of the Sociology Department at Ibn Haldun University in Turkey. His current research is in the field of the relations between the Ottoman state, the modern Turkish Republic, and the Malay world, as well as on colonial ethics, missionary activities, and related fields. He has many publications in this field as well. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Özay. Welcome again.
Thank you very much.
And our final guest is Dr. Rusdi Yusuf Abbas. He is a faculty member in the Department of International Relations at Pertamina University in Indonesia. He is alumni of Marmara University in Turkey as well, like Dr. Syauqillah. His study field is IR theories, globalization, the environmental problems in international relations, etc. Welcome, Dr. Rusdi.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Welcome again. Now I would like to turn the time over to Dr. Mehmet Özay. But firstly, I need to say that our webinar will be held partially in English and partially in Bahasa language. If you have any questions, you can type them in the comment section and we will try to address them during our program. Thank you. Dr. Mehmet Özay, stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for your kind initiation of the program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Selamat sore kepada semua panitia di Malaysia dan Indonesia. Salam sejahtera, salam dan hormat kepada Prof dan Kapalı Asosiasi Sipil di Kawasan Asia Tenggara. So today we are going to hold a discussion about the terror action of FETO as happened in the form of failed coup on 15 July 2016. This date, 15 July, is a date of commemoration of the deadly coup attempt of Fethullah Gülenist terror organization, as mentioned in Turkey, FETO, in Turkish language FETO, or another name, parallel state structure. So our guests today are professors and civil society members from Southeast Asia. This session will be held in two languages, English and Bahasa Indonesia. I think this program will take almost 2 hours. First of all, I will have a summary of the coup history in Turkish Republic, modern Republic of Turkey, and the development of the latest attempt of coup 2016, 15 July. So then I will direct some questions to our guest, hopefully. So hari ini kita akan diskusi kudeta oleh kelompok teror FETO di tanggal 15 Juli 2015 di Turki. Kelompok FETO telah intervensi hubungan Turki dan Asia Tenggara sejak awal 1995. Waktu itu mereka aktif di dalam bidang pendidikan dan bisnis di Asia Tenggara sesudah Komunis Uni Sovyet hancur. Di dalam beberapa waktu mereka mulai aktivitas khususnya di bidang pendidikan di kawasan Asia Tenggara. So today is very important to talk this issue with the professors and the civil society leaders from Southeast Asia, because historically we have relationships and in contemporary era today we are still developing a relationship with some countries in the region, especially Malaysia and Indonesia. Later on, I will talk about the importance of this Southeast Asia. Now I will just very briefly inform our guests and the audience the history of coups in Turkey. In 1960 and 1980, there were totally 5 smaller or bigger successful coups in Turkey. In another saying, the one coup in each 4 years. So these are 27th May 1960, 12th March 1971, and following few years there were smaller attempts during these early 70s. And the important one, 12th September 1980, which was very drastically changing the Turkish politics and the society. And between 1981 and 2016, 2 coups we observed and witnessed over here in Turkey. 28 February 1997 and June 1996, coalition between the Refah Party, Sol Welfare Party, and True Path Party, led by Tansu Çiller, the first woman prime minister of Turkey. And Almarhum Professor Dr. Erbakan was the prime minister at that time. These were the products of total action of the military force for the purpose of protecting the laïc regime in Turkey between these 1960 until 2016. But what happened in 2016, it was very important, very changing paradigm even in the attempting the coup. This was not a surprise action conducted by FETO terror organization 2016. There were some early stages observed since 2010. So the 2010 was seen as an increasing intention to reach the power, political power in Turkish politics by this terror organization. There are some stages, let me remind you about these. 17-25 December 2013. This is called a sort of mini coup attempt directed to the head of Turkish intelligence service, Hakan Fidan, but it was aimed to reach Erdogan, the President Erdogan himself and his family members through Mr. Fidan. So during this 2013, it is observed another important stage of social uprising, political uprising at the same time. Gezi Parkı, we call it, between May and July, not only just in Istanbul, but some other cities, provinces of Turkey, some groups initiated this uprising. These were, in fact, a loose coalition among various splinter groups, let's say FETO, PKK, and similar terror structures. Quite interesting that those groups, except FETO, then did not have any interest for Muslim issues or Eastern nations or Turkish stand against the contemporary Western neocolonialism. The exception one, say FETO, was an intentional direction to dispose or depose the historical, traditional religious connectivity between Turks and Turkey and the rest of the Islamic world, including South and Southeast Asian Muslim communities. So remember those years just in and after the Arab Autumn, and the FETO cadre in the police force, intelligence services, and governor house in Istanbul acted for the cause of instigation. And this Gezi Park event was strongly supported to some extent or larger extent by Western powers through their media organizations, but they did not get successful. So 15 July 2016, a coup which should be differentiated from the previous ones owing to its own categorization under the same typology of like the others. Let's say police and the paramilitary forces. The coup was attempted simply by the FETO cadre in the Turkish military, but they were accompanied by the police force and the paramilitary groups, which included some civil individuals and the top leaders in various departments who were given responsibility by the leader of Fethullah Gülen himself. So this is a very brief remembering of the coups in Turkey, but what happened 2016, 15 July was unique, happened by the civil circles and so-called a Jama'a, civil and religious organization, but they manipulated their power in education sector, in the state organizations, in media. So they attempted to coup Turkey and topple the democratic legitimate government. So in this stage, I would like to ask a question to Ustaz Ahmed Azam, because he has been familiar to Turkish politics and Turkish nation. He has been closely observing the relationships since 1990s onwards. So you are well experienced civil society leader, Mr. Azam, and observing, witnessing the developments not only in Southeast Asia, but Middle East and partially Africa. You also published a book based on the relations with Turkey on the basis of your observation again. When you look at the back till 1990s, how would you like to summarize the Turkish religious civil society and particularly the FETO organization?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dr. Mehmet, Özay, Sardar Bey, and professors from Indonesia and IIU. Alhamdulillah, this is a very important program for us to understand what is happening in Turkey and why Turkey is very important to the Muslim world, because we see the leadership of Erdogan is seriously trying to liberate the Muslim Ummah from the so-called Western hegemony since 1924 to 2024. It will be 100 years where the Muslim without the Caliphate. But anyway, this day, 15th of July, is important because what we call it disturbed the delicate what we call balance between the role of Ghazi and the role of Hoja. What we call the role of Ghazi and Hoja has become the pillar of the strength of the Ottoman Empire. Once you disturb this balance, where the Ghazi trying to eliminate the role of Hoja, or the Hoja trying to eliminate the role of Ghazi, then they will create some imbalance. So because if you look at the history of Ottoman Empire, whereby you look at Osman Ghazi and Ertugrul, they have the Hoja is Sheikh Adab Ali and Ibn Arabi, for example. Sultan Murad II, the Hoja is Haji Baram Wali. Sultan Muhammad Al-Fatih, the Hoja is Aksham Shuddin. Sultan Sulaiman, the Hoja is Abu Saud Effendi. So this relation, what we call, is very important, and it is symbiotic, what we call, between this function. So in this context, what we call, once you disturb it, then Turkey will have some problem. So the importance of the role of Ghazi, the leader, and the role of Hoja is symbiotic, and it is very important, and it's very delicate. There must be, the balance must be maintained in a way. Alhamdulillah, I was fortunate to be invited by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan 1 month after the coup d'etat. The coup d'etat happened on the 15th of July 2016. On the 18th of July, Recep Tayyip Erdogan invited 60 NGO leaders from all over the world to come and visit Turkey, in Ankara in particular, and seeing the attack on various important places in Ankara, and got the special briefing from the intelligence and the officials about what really happened on the 15th of July in 2016. So in this context, what we call, Alhamdulillah, what we call, we are concerned about what's happening in Turkey, and we see in the figure of Erdogan as an inspiring figure for some of us, what we call, especially, that he inspired the Ummah with the spirit of Ummatic spirit, the spirit of liberation, the spirit of independence. So because, so when the FETO come into play, what we call a very concerted effort in undermining his leadership, in creating chaos, attacking the civilian and whatnot, in order to take over the country from within, I think this is a matter of concern for the Ummah all over the world. So what we call, so Turkey has been very, very important to the Muslim world right now, the front runner in providing humanitarian and protecting the weak from all over the world. And in this context, so what we call, the Ummah is following what is happening in Turkey, and we are proud to be following the issue very closely. And the relation between Malaysia and Turkey is quite close, whereby what we call, there are some mutual understanding and discussing about what we call the future of the Ummah. So our relation with Turkey started back in the 90s, when we were invited every year by Professor Najmuddin Erbakan to Turkey to celebrate the Fatih Day on the 29th May. What we call, it was during that visit that we invited, where we met Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Abdullah Gül, Ahmad Daud Olu, and all the leaders that we have. That was in what we call, in the 90s. And then what we call, in 1996, we were introduced to Hizmet movement in Malaysia, where they have a school, Horizon School. And we were invited, what we call, to visit Turkey and visit the structure of the Hizmet movement, what is now known as the Fethullah Gulen movement. That was in 1996. So we visited the business, what we call program, the education program, the media program, what we call, and we send some of our students to stay in their dormitory and trying to work together with the Hizmet movement at that point in time. But over time, when the UNIO was established, Union of NGO of the Islamic World, on the 1st of May 2005, where I was among the founder member of this union established by the Parliament of Turkey to unite the NGO from all over the world to talk about the Ummatic spirit, then slowly we see the different orientation of many groups in Turkey, and in particular the Hizmet movement or the FETO that we are discussing today. And then we realize that there are something that need to be reconsidered about this relation. And after going to and fro almost every year to Turkey, celebrating 29th of May, the Fatih Day, then we get more and more information. And then on the 15th of July 2000, what we call 16, then we realized the true color of the FETO movement. And I think what Erdogan did, though some observers are disagreeable with the way he's being treating the FETO members, but they have no choice, because this is the question of Bugas, the question of taking over from within, that will destroy the vision, the future of the country. So in summary, I would like to say it again, that the history of Turkey has always been a delicate balance between the Ghazi and the Hoja, and this relation need to be strengthened, because they are of the same body, and if this what we call relation is being disturbed one way or the other, or we don't recognize the role of each other, then what we call it will create some problem, as what happened what we call after the fall of Ottoman Empire, and then what we call series of coup d'etat is happening, and now we hope that Turkey will be on the right step in venturing forward, what we call in next few years, to emerge as one of the leader of the Muslim Ummah. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for your initial explanation, Ustad Ahmed Azam. So, where was I during 15 July 2016? I was in Jakarta. I was working for a state agency as a representative, and as usual, I worked till late hours, and to be back to my office early after Subuh in Jakarta. So when I wake up, I was informed a friend from Bandung, not from Turkey, not from my agency, or not Turkish embassy in Jakarta, but a friend from Indonesia, Indonesian friend, informed me, Mehmet, what's happening in Turkey. Then I realized the coup was on nearly finishing in the morning in Jakarta time, but quite interestingly, no one from Turkish side in Jakarta embassy or some other people informed us. We were, in fact, sincerely, I would like to say we were ready to fight back. If something happened vice versa in Turkey, it will be definitely reflect itself in Jakarta as members of the Turkish agencies working over there. So what Dr. Ustad Ahmed Azam says, that this process, as other NGOs or other civil religious institutions in Turkey initiated their works post-Soviet Union or post-Cold War era, majorly to Turkish, even the Turkish state and the Turkish agencies, they paid more attention to Central Asia because of the Turkic nation's multi-million people, Turkic people living in Central Asia. But later on, they switch on the other regions, as Ahmad Azam mentioned, that Southeast Asia, 1995 onwards, this FETO structure initiated their operation in Southeast Asia, particularly in the field of education. This is quite understandable because they need new cadres, not only in Turkey, but also in global stage, including Southeast Asia, as happened in Central Asia, or Balkania, or some countries majorly in Africa. So their face is hidden behind these civil educational institutions and the activities, but later on they had some other operations in other fields, let's say business, let's say media, let's say some other state agencies. They attempted to act as a state man or state institutions in other countries, including Malaysia and Indonesia. Well, while I was living in Aceh, in Kuala Lumpur, we heard this group, members of this group, define themselves as a state. We are state, means that they are the state of Turkey, but in fact they were just members of a civil society organization. But this brief definition gives the image how they were improving their operations and their main target, what will happen as observed in 2016-15 July. So before giving the floor to Professor Hasbi Amiruddin, I will just mention briefly again the last 15 years of Turkey, what happened in the politics. When the last 15 years were analyzed, it is observed that Erdogan as president became gradually a target of Western powers. The issue is not how the Turkish public has improved in economic modernization. In fact, this was a basic demand and expectation even by the Western powers since the beginning of 19th century during the time of Ottoman. This was also a major political force of the Turkish revolutions realized by Mustafa Kemal, the founding father of Turkey, to catch up the contemporary European development. And this is also only single fact of all political parties and the government policies throughout the 20th century in Turkey. But this basic economic modernization was not realized as planned and wished by all the political actors. Instead, there were some minor concrete examples as observed during 1950, 1960, during the ruling era of Democrat Party, and 1983 and 1991 during the ruling era of Motherland Party, or in Turkish Anavatan Partisi, led by Almarhum Turgut Özal. Hence, the major paradigm shift emerged after 2003 by the establishment of AKP or AK Party. So the Turkish political scene improving in humanitarian, in economic field, in business and education. And it also initiated very significant international relationships by the leadership of Erdogan. First, he was prime minister, then he became elected as president. So I would like to direct my question to Professor Hasbi Amiruddin, how he observed the leadership of Erdogan. So Pak Hasbi, pertanyaan saya kepada Anda, bagaimana the leadership of Erdogan menurut Anda? Because you also have been observing the developments in Turkey at least 2010 onwards, and you have visited Turkey twice, and you are on the way to complete your book about Erdogan.
Okay.
Please welcome.
Thank you very much. I think I will speak about general of the what I have took data from Turkey about Erdogan. First of all, let me say thank very much I feel very honored that the Center for Ottoman-Malay World Studies at Fatih Sultan Mehmet Fakih University invite me to this wonderful webinar. Maybe what I will speak this only a general what I know about Erdogan. If later you will have some question, maybe you will ask me with bahasa Indonesia. I will answer with bahasa Indonesia. But now for I will talk about what I know in English. Yeah. I am also very grateful to have so much information on the development of Turkey today, and especially in the case of the attempt of coup d'etat 15 July 2016. In 2018, I visited Turkey to collect data, to write about the opinion of Turkish people and Muslim in the world about Recep Tayyip Erdogan leadership. I appreciate also, I read a book from the Mr. Ahmad Azam. Thank you. It is the source. Regarding Erdogan leadership, based on my last visit in July 2018, especially during the Remembrance Day of the COVID, I found that the citizens of Turkey are very happy with Erdogan leadership because he had elevated the dignity of Turkey and its citizens. He had successfully increased the economy and the power of Turkey, which in turn has strengthened the position of Turkey in the world now. Now, Turkey become one of the powerful states to keep the stability of the world. It is in many opinions. Such development at the same time has increased the pride of the Muslim in the world, because there has been a lot of undermining of the Muslim and nobody would peace against it. Alhamdulillah, Erdogan has become the representation of the Muslim to speak whenever Muslims were treated unfairly or oppressed. Although the matter was not yet resolved, the voice of Turkey, Erdogan, has encouraged the other Muslim states in also speak about that. At least now, the oppressor had to be careful due to the voice of the Turkey, that is the voice of Erdogan. In Indonesia, especially in my hometown, Aceh, Erdogan's name, hence Turkey, was regarded highly. His electoral victory in 2018 was celebrated in prayers in his recent decree turning Hagia Sophia back into mosque also was celebrated not only by the Aceh citizen, but also the Aceh politician. Regarding the coup d'etat incident in 2016, I believe that the success of Turkey to crush the coup was the result of combination of Erdogan's strong leadership and also Turkish citizen love of their country. The coup was a tragedy that has saddened all of us because it weakened Turkey, harmed the student and also the Muslim in the world. Turkey, who is becoming the stabilizing power Muslim, had to spread a lot of its energy to handle the incidents, and we hope that this tragedy would never happen again in a time. Hopefully, Turkey could only hopefully Turkey would truly become one of the powerful countries and the representative of the Muslim in the world. That some of what I have write in my book the next time, but I will fit, maybe I will finish in this year, and if I finish I will send for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Hasbi. So, Hasbi emphasized the role of leadership of Erdogan. In fact, the Aceh is very familiar to his name because 26th December 2004, the earthquake and the tsunami happened, majorly struck Aceh province of Indonesia. Erdogan landed just the beginning of February, just 1 month later of the tsunami. He spent few days in Banda Aceh and visited some barracks or camps and observed the Turkish aid organizations' activities. Then he ordered to establish a Turkish village, which is known historically over there. So the Turkish Kızılay Red Crescent in few years completed this village after the order of Erdogan, and it is known today as Turkish village, revived again after the tsunami, known as Bitay, Gambung Bitay. So the leadership of Erdogan is not just important for the Turkish nation's the dignity in the international arena, but also he became a voice of Ummah, Islamic nations, and they're trying to solve the problems in some regions, as observed even today in Libya, in Syria. In the last 2 decades, Erdogan became a figure of Islamic world. So now I would like to move on to the structure of Jama'ah and the relationships of Jama'ah or religious institutions with politics. So in this regard, I would like to ask Dr. Yon Machmudi. He is in Jakarta now. So Dr. Machmudi conducted his PhD about PKS, one of the significant political parties in Indonesia. So PKS coming from grassroots level and became a political party. So his PhD explaining this process very significantly, but he also observed the other political institutions, political parties, and the civil society organizations in Indonesia. So his work is a sort of comparative understanding of how Jama'ah or religious civil organization can play a role in politics. So my question to Dr. Yon Machmudi, what would you like to say about the structures, legitimacy of this FETO organization in terms of both an Islamic and the democratic criteria? Please welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Mehmet. I'm very happy to be invited here at the webinar. Let me talk about the issue of the failed attempted coup by the one of the so-called part of the Jama'ah, and how we see the structure of the Jama'ah can be threat and endanger in somehow to the process of democracy. But of course, not all Jama'ah become the threat, but there is a certain Jama'ah that have the potential threat to the democracy. In what criteria, then we can discuss later. We think that the attempt coup failed in Turkey because we could not imagine what happened if such coup then succeeded, in take over the country, and we have the many experience that the coup d'etat also brought a lot of problems to the society. So, because the coup d'etat also will destroy the democracy, taking over the people's sovereignty, and also undermining the civil society, the role of society. We already develop and strengthen the role of the society, but then immediately taken over by the coup d'etat movement. But beside the coup d'etat also carried out by the army military, we see that also the experience in the history in the Muslim country also and other country that the movement also involved in kind of the coup d'etat. So it is not something new, but happened many times that also the Jama'ah, the movement that is become part of the civil society, but finally trapped in a kind of a fourth attempt to join and support the coup d'etat. This kind of phenomenon will give us understanding that if we see the movement that has no loyalty to the nation because they don't have the single loyalty to the nation, single loyalty to the state. So will be a kind of the problem because they can build a state within the state. So this is also the issue that the movement that grow from the, for instance, the Islamic uh, environment should strengthen the nation and the state itself. So they don't bring or build the new state within the state. So the loyalty to loyalty to the nation is very important. So the leadership should represent the interests of the people where the movement grow in the society. So this is also, I think, very, very important. Another issue is that the movement sometimes develop kind of secret activity. So in the open society, I think we against any kind of the secret activity. We need a very transparent society. So if there is kind of the movement that develop in very secret activity and keep away from the people in general, then will be the problem. So the activity should be often give the benefit from the society, but sometimes there is kind of the very strict structure that only certain people can enter the structure. So the secret activity, if some kind can be used by someone for the wrong purposes. For instance, the secret activity by involved in kind of relation associate with a certain, military, army or paramilitary, then will endanger the country. So the problem of the movement that I think we have to consider, the movement that has no commitment to democracy, has no commitment, to the open society, I think this is also become the problem. So the ideal is the movement should strengthening the role of the society if they believe in political party that aspiration can be voiced through the political party, then they have to support for the political party, but still give kind of room for their members to choose what kind of that party that they can choose. So there is no kind of manipulation. Only certain group that can voice their um, aspiration. Then, so I think this is very important for the movement to realize that they live in the society and should represent the benefit and the interest of the society where they live in, not influenced by the external or the foreign interest, because it is very dangerous if the movement bring or voice the interest of the other countries. So the loyalty to the nation, I think, very important. So the movement also should not have any kind of belief idea about the violence political agenda. So they have to against any kind of the violent activity in politics and other activities. So it is very important. Then, of course, they have to be strictly committed to the people empowerment intellectually and socially. Because it is very important, I think, for the movement to what in Indonesia term we usually use as the indigenization of the civil society. Even though sometimes we have realized that if we study about the influence of the Middle East, many movements also influence the Nusantara, Southeast Asia. But how can we make the kind of the indigenization to realize that all the aspiration, all the contribution should relate it and associate with the interest of the local people, not only voice the interest of the foreign. So the term of the indigenization for the civil society, I think, very important. In Indonesia, term we call the pribumisasi. So any kind of the movement that grow and develop within the society, within the certain nation and state, should represent the interests and the face of the people and in general. So I think this is very, very important to see that what kind of the movement, what kind of the Jama'ah groups, Islamic group in the society that can be compatible with the society, compatible with the democracy, and of course compatible with the state. So this is, I think, what I can say in this session about the importance of the movement. Of course, the movement, because of strict have the strict follower, sometimes can direct to the certain issues. But if we can make the movement realize about their function in the society, part of the civil society, the civil Islam, then this can be very helpful to support the democracy. But if we cannot do this, then the movement in contrast can be in danger the existence of the state, of the existence of the nation. I think that's all what I can say, Brother Mehmet. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dr. Yon Mahmud, thank you very much for your initial ideas about this FETO group, because it was known as a religious organization. They defined themselves as a religious Jama'ah, but at the same time they declined to play in politics, definitely. But strangely, they played behind the curtains on politics. They implanted their cadres in different political parties, not only just AKP since 2003. Earlier I mentioned 2010. Why 2010 very important? Because during that time the AKP was preparing for the coming elections, and this FETO organization imposing on the party leadership that 100 members of FETO affiliated FETO group should be put on the list. So this was quite interesting. Once they say we do not play in politics, but at the same time they play behind the curtains and unsincerely. So this is quite a unique part of this coup d'etat or coup in Turkey. Before this military-based coups, this is very unique aspect of this coup. So you mentioned you emphasized, Dr. Mahmoudi, state and nation. This is very important, and the democratic values. This is quite an important aspect of the global policies in almost all nations. But what we have been observing since 2016, after this coup, the Western powers, starting from the US and some Western European countries, they have protected the members, starting from the leader Fethullah Gülen, because he has been living 1999 in the US. So this is quite interesting. Once they initiate and they support the transparency, open society, and the democratic values, so on. But when the time comes to Turkish case, or some similar cases in the middle, let's say in Egypt, what happened? We observed Al-Marhum Morsi regime. So they declined to support the legitimate governments in these countries. So from here to, I would like to direct my question to Dr. Munir. He is in the Kuala Lumpur International Islamic University of Malaysia. So I would like to ask the aspect of media, Dr. Munir. So how this group, FETO group, manipulated the media to gain power, because this is very important, as we observed in Turkey, 1990s onwards. Later on, they invested their media groups in other countries by the same name or the similar names, but in the vernacular languages, the language spoke in those countries. So by their media, they act against Turkish government, against the Turkish legitimate leaders elected in democratic way. So what would you like to say the role of media, both in domestic and international level?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank for inviting me to this learned online conference. I'm glad to be here and to be with all the very prominent professors and personalities from Indonesia, as well as Malaysia and other parts, also Turkey. This is definitely a day to commemorate and to reflect on the event that has really shaken Turkey fundamentally 4 years back. And I suppose it has a long and a big implications for other countries as well. In my university, in my department, I teach a course by the name Comparative Politics of the Muslim World. And I touch upon many of the major Muslim countries, including Turkey. Turkish politics we study very deeply and extensively. And this used to be a very interesting topic for my students to learn as well as discuss about Turkish politics, the ups and downs of Turkish politics over the past 100 years, and the more interesting episodes of Turkish politics over the past 20 years or so. It has been a very interesting issue to reflect upon us. To know about the Turkish politics as well as to know about the implications of the event for other countries as well. Just to be sure, can you hear me clearly?
Sure, Professor. Your
Okay,
voice is
all right.
clear.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I believe that the Gulen movement has been a classic example for a global movement. Definitely, as it claims that it is inspired by the Islamic morals and values. Of course, it does not directly talk about Islam, but those peace and cooperation and business and science and education, those things are very much part of the Islamic inspiration. And of course, the leader being known as Islamic in Turkey since 1960s afterward, we can fairly believe that he is inspired by Islam. So I believe that this was a classic example of an Islamic organization that can work at a global level with extensive network, if not very strictly formally, but quite informally. This is one good thing that I know. And second thing is that the organization's reach to the people is very, very extensive, not only limited in Turkey, but also outside Turkey. Of course, even if it is outside Turkey, but of course, mostly among the Turkish diaspora, I suppose. But the thing is that the global network of the organization and the ability to survive over a long period of time is quite astonishing, that I do not know of any such organization that has been operating for long, and for that matter, any Islamic organization that has been operating so long with such strength and such ability to infiltrate programmatically as well as very objectively with particular object to bring some changes, the expected changes that they want. Of course, I believe they do not want such changes to bring in any other country other than Turkey. So that is what they attempted, I suppose. Now, that is a general observation about the organization that I have about it. I believe I can make this type of observation because until about, let's say, 10 years back, the current government in Turkey and this Gulen movement, or at least Fethullah Gulen, they were in good terms. So they could accommodate each other. But because of some reasons that they split, now they are in opposite poles. But if we go back to, let's say, 10 years back, then if we are in the time 10 years back from now, then we would not speak about Fethullah Gulen or the Gulen movement as a terrorist organization. So if we stand 10 years back time, then we will say, yes, the organizational strength, strategy, capacity, as well as the influence is really, really amazing to me. There are other secretive organizations around the world. Those are very elite type. For example, some of the Jewish organizations are very elite type, and they work in a very clandestine way in different countries around the world for political purposes. Compared to that, this organization, the Gulen movement, is not that type of elite organization. It is basically organizations composed of very ordinary type of people. So that makes the organizational the amazing part of this organization to me. Now, I was asked to talk about the media that was used by this organization in its attempt to popularize itself and its programs in Turkey especially. This is again very, very interesting to note that the financial, economic, intellectual, professional strength of this organization had really become very, very strong to the point that they have been dubbed in Turkey as a deep state or a parallel state. That is a recognition of the power, the strength, the network, the institutional capacity of the organization. That we have to confess. So definitely, the ability of this organization in this contemporary world to use modern technologies, especially media technologies, media houses, and outlets, has been very smart on their part. That this is the main technology that to be used in today's world for political contestation, political survival, economic expansion, or whatever you talk about. So that was a very smart move on their part. So as such, they have used a lot of media outlets and media sources for their benefits, whether it is for the coup to stage in Turkey, or to propagate their Hizmet activities, or to extend their network. That is something else. But they have used media and media outlets for their advantage. That is very, very surprising. As we know that after the coup, the Turkish government has banned a lot, overtaken as well as banned a lot of media houses as well as media outlets. To me, there are in front of me there is this statistics that 3 news agencies were banned, 16 TV channels were banned, 23 radio channels, 45 newspapers, including 9 of these national level newspapers, 15 magazines, 29 publishing houses. These are the media outlets and companies that were under the ownership of this organization. So if we look at just the number that an organization, a civilian organization, could own as well as control this many media houses in just one country, how many probably they are owning as well as controlling in other countries. So definitely they had a long plan, they had a long-term plan, a strategic plan, which I would say politically motivated and politically inspired. That is the going into the state apparatus, because the movement originated in Turkey, and largely the movement is influenced by the Turkish political context, and that is the dichotomy between secularism, the conflict between secularism and Islam. And we know from 1960s onward, it's not just Fatullah movement that emerged. There are a number of other tariqa movements became very, very influential and emerging strongly during 1960s and 70s. This is because of the generational change that the political landscape was also being influenced by that. So I would say that the Gulen movement is just a companion of Islamic revival in Turkey, just like any other Islamic revival. Mehmet Abrakan we have talked about, he's not outside the boundary of this Islamic revival movement. So Erbakan went to power, but then Fethullah Gulen, his design or his objective or his strategies might have been even more extensive. So he wanted a different time and space for his intention to reveal, and that is what he did in just 4 years back to 2016. So I would say that yes, it was definitely because of a substantial number of media and media houses as well as outlets that the organization own as well as control inside Turkey, and we must confess that one of their, or at least number of their media outlets are very influential. The newspaper Zaman was considered to be one of the topmost at the national level. Also, there were other TV stations as well as other newspapers locally who are very well known and popular. So these were achieved over a long period of time, and this was achieved not through any illegal means or illegal ways. These businesses or these institutions were developed through the mechanism of the state itself, and they were legitimate news outlets and media houses. So the organization definitely utilized the political environment of Turkey over 50, 60 years of time, and especially after 1980s, that these institutions were institutionally developed. So the organization smartly utilized the opportunities in developing a very essential sector, and that is the media sector, in to strengthen their position. And definitely, it would have been this sector that could have kept this organization survived in Turkey if the context was different. By context, I mean if it was not Erdogan in power, but if it was a military government in power, what would have happened? I would ask from this perspective, what would have been the role of this media if this type of coup was staged by Gulen movement in Turkey in 2016, when a military supposed to be in power, but instead of military, it was another Islamic government in power. So what would have been the reaction of the Turkish people as well as the world? Definitely, I would argue and I would assume that in that case, Fethullah or the Gulen movements taking over Turkish government would be fairly welcome by everyone, because he was Islamic, because the organization is Islamic, as it's known. But because of a different context, when this organization and AK Party ideology, they were actually peer group, but it was a contestation between this peer group. So one group was in power, another group was in opposition, the civilian. So definitely the group in power would win, and that group won the contestation. So the other group was considered to be an enemy, and the ruling power would definitely take measure to neutralize the enemy or eliminate the enemy. Now, I think this is pure politics, and it happens everywhere. So the first thing Erdogan government did after the coup, following the coup, was banning all these media houses, because it is the media houses that actually created, maintained, as well as created as well as maintained the network of the people involved in this Gulen movement. And so the first thing the government did was to find out these media houses and eliminate or silence them in politics. And that is a pure politically rational, I suppose, for any government would do so. So that's my understanding about the role of media in giving the movement a very strong root in Turkey, as well as giving avenues for the members of this organization to get into the government institutional setups as well as networks for a long period of time. And I suppose it would not have been possible for the Gulen or Gulenists to enter the Turkish political as well as institutional network unless and if say AK Party and Gulenists they were not friends for some time in the beginning. So it was that context and that opportunity that the Gulenists took very smartly to get into the institutional apparatus, and that was also made possible because of the media use. That they smartly used media, not only say in some cases they over smartly used. For example, they used a certain secret what do I say? Certain secret code language, which the Turkish military later decoded. Like Eagle was one code language, and there was another before that. So it proves that they have technological experts, and those experts are very, very professional. That they can come into contestation with the state level institutions, and that is why they are fairly dubbed as a deep state or parallel state. And this parallel state status, they could only...
I'm sorry, we will continue about this parallelism later on by other questions, hopefully. Yes, in a few sentences you may complete this stage.
Yeah, I'll finish very soon, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. You want me to
finish your sentences? Yes, please.
Okay. So that is my understanding about the use of media by this organization. And the second point I just quickly wanted to mention is that the experience of Turkey between this the contestation between the Gulenists and the AK Party, and thirdly the military establishment, I think it has a big implications for other countries as well, because the essential line of tension between these institutions in Turkey is basically Islam and secularism. And this tension we can see everywhere in many other Muslim countries. I would give example of Iran before Islamic Revolution in 1979, in Central Asian countries before they became independent after the collapse of Soviet Union.
Dr. Monir, I'm sorry. So we will continue this issue later on. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. So we appreciate your contribution, Dr. Monir. Well, This is important. I mean, what sort of methods and what sort of hidden agenda proposes this group had? I mean, of course, everybody agree over here. Before 2010, what happened, and after 2010 were totally different. That's the issue, in fact. So if we see the brief history of FETO terrorist structure or establishment, there are significantly 3 stages. Number one is that after the coup 1980. So during this phase, special dormitory houses, which is called Heavenly Light Houses, and the preparatory schools were established to recruit followers. If we look at that today, the major actors or smaller actors of this coup 2016 all grown through this last 30 years after 1980, the generation. The second phase is late 1980, early 1990s, as I told earlier, post-Soviet Union era. So the Turkish nation and the Turkish organizations, as mentioned, there are other multiple religious organizations in Turkey. They started operation either in Turkey or both in Turkey and in some backyard, historically backyard, Balkania, Caucasia in Central Asia, and some later on, as we see, in Southeast Asia. So during this stage, the increasing the power of civil society of FETO. So they initiated media outlets, business, education, schools, dormitories. So each network supporting the other one, but not seen clearly. And the third phase is the so-called postmodern coup of 1997. We observed that during that time, some other leaders, civil society leaders or Jamaah leaders were taken prison, or they had to move to other countries. We see the Fethullah Gulen moved to United States in 1999. Then this is very critical point that during this process, Gulen adopted a new rhetoric. The new rhetoric means that presenting himself and his organization as an enlightened, pro-Western, progressive, moderate manifestation of Islam, concentrating on some issues such as interfaith dialogue, so on and so on. So this is a power accumulation process, not just simply disseminating Islamic values, disseminating Turkish understanding of Islam, so on. This is totally, in a unique way, become a global power, looking for power globally. So this is very important. I mean, let's say the relationship between AKP and FETO, of course, some other Jamaah, Tariqa, or civil society organization have been supporting AKP or other parties, even CHP. So there is no any problem, but the problem is that there is hidden agenda. They were against the democracy in Turkey. They were against the established values in politics, even in political circle, in political sphere. They were against this one. So they use this power through their media. You mentioned the numbers. These numbers work for the accumulation of political power. So that's why after the coup, they were banned or closed, shut down. So thank you very much for your contribution. Now, I would like to move on to Dr. Syauqillah. Dr. Syauqillah, I think, has a PowerPoint will share with us. Yes. Dr. Syauqillah, what is the most important change? I mean, this is not the question, just a statement given by a former top police chief in Turkey. What is the most important change brought by July 15 is the removal of this terrorist group that has infiltrated the state through the years, starting from 1980s. This is Mr. Avcı. He was even banned. He was not allowed to publish his book about FETO while he was during his post, and after he retired, he wrote a book but was not allowed to publish. So FETO poses the biggest and the most substantial threat to security, national security of Turkey, since it presents an array of socioeconomic, sociopolitical, and socio-psychological threats, has an esoteric and cultist structure, can operate with other terror groups or foreign intelligence organizations. This is a statement taken from a report published by Police Academy of Turkey. So my question to Dr. Syauqillah, how could you explain this group, FETO group, and Turkish national security? Because all these actions after the coup, some people, some Western powers especially, criticized Turkish Turkish states, the political behavior to this group, but this is a national security issue, plus international sphere of this importance. What would you like to say, Dr. Syauqillah? Please welcome.
Thank you. I would like to present my PPT. It's okay. Thank you, Sadar Hojam. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Muhammad Syauqillah. I'm a graduate from Marmara University, and I have had experience with because I was there when it is my reported from media, CNN media, 5th July on 2 a.m. It was a coup attempt with during a coup attempt. I cannot imagine if the coup succeed, I will be removed from Turkey and cannot finish my PhD in Marmara University. And this is my why my popular article in magazine, and I mentioned 5 or until 7 argumentation why Erdogan failed coup, yeah, and then it is my reportation last year responding about the recent situation in Turkey, and then I would go to Turkey today. I think Turkey today, after 15 July, had economic problem. We know that after coup d'etat, July, attempt coup, economic growth slowly become slowly. We know that, and then for the issue of national security, Turkey faced terror attack from PKK, ISIS, DHKPG, and then Gulen Group, yeah, and then Turkey today face political relationship between Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Yol Arkadaşı. It is a situation, internal situation that we can discuss more about the situation. And then after July 15, Turkey changed the political system from parliamentary system to presidential system, and then the change of political configuration in Turkey. We look, and especially I looked at AKP close relationship with MIHP, and the interesting thing is coalition between Saadat Party and JHP in local election is more interesting after the July 15. The new political atmosphere in Turkey after 50 July, and then I want to talk about the answer that you mentioned before, the internal terror network newly made by religious civil society. I think the same condition with Indonesia. Where, terror groups in Indonesia come from people or groups of society who do not accept the state system and want to build the Islamic State. Uh, in other hand, in Turkey, terror groups PKK wants to separate territories separated from Turkey PKK, and then it is control the government and states, and also establish an Islamic State like a Daesh. Control the government and state. Maybe we can mention the Fatullah Gulen groups. I look forward to I think this is for the Gulen movement. I think when the cadre of organization of Islamic organization, for instance in Indonesia, put their cadre in governmental institution, yeah, same like Indonesia, I think. Some of Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah cadre come to a governmental institution, but they have they have nationality, to loyalty to the nation, loyalty to the system, loyalty to the what we call the patron, the political system, political atmosphere. They didn't have what we call silent agenda. And then almost all terror organizations depart from the community, from the, we call in for example in Philippines, they come from society. In Indonesia, they come from society. For example, Darul Islam and Negara Islam Indonesia, they come from society. And maybe we know the JAT in Indonesia, or GAD in Indonesia, or Islamic State in Indonesia. In Indonesia, they come from community, especially those who experience relative deprivation. Their interest, the relative deprivation, they want to be power, come to power, but they have limited energy, limitation energy to come to the power. And then for the national security, I think after coup attempt for 15 July, in the context of internal security, Turkey faces serious problem, I think, because there are many terror attacks in Turkey. When I was there, 3 times in a month, 3 times or 5 times in a month, come from terror attack, come from PKK, come from DHKPG, and come from Daesh Daesh in Turkey. I think it is a serious problem in national security, and also Gulen movement that Turkish government label this group as a terrorist organization. Why the next one, why the Turkey become victim of terror attack. I think almost I read write this argumentation almost cause of Daesh. Yeah? Daesh. Turkey didn't give permit ISIS sympathizer to enter Turkey and to Syria. Yeah. Turkey, why? Turkey become victim. Turkey detained 1,149 ISIS militant. Turkey deport 7,000 Besius. Yeah, I Besius Eli. ISIS militant.
Yes.
Yeah, Turkey does not protect the escape of 270 ISIS militant from Syria, and Turkey joined the coalition against ISIS, and then facilitating military base in Incirlik. This is why ISIS attacked Turkey, and then we know that Baras Suraji was failed, and then PKK want to give PKK all every times, maybe almost every month I look news from Turkey that PKK attacked the military base in Turkey, and then why Turkey become a victim. I think the interesting things is why, because Turkey didn't give permit to one group to obtain the state. I think, because if we look at Gulen, when they entered the government institution, they can opt it for their interest, not to the other groups, sharing, accommodating the other group to the government institution, and then accommodating the other groups to their government institution. This is why Turkey become the victim, because they did give permit to the one group to co-optation the government institution. The role media, I think, for the in the context of terror organization, they using media first for recruitment. They recruit their members. They recruit supporter. They recruit who want to be a fundraiser with the media, and then the second thing is propaganda. They use terror organization using media, using media for the propaganda. We know about ISIS when COVID in the March 2020, they make news in the media. It is time to attack. It is time to attack that for the Islam to attack the Taghut in several countries. And then the third, maintaining solidarity. Yeah, we know that. I'm forgive me. I'm unutum. The what maintaining solidarity. I know that Gulen movement have the specific message tools in their members' phones. I think the role of media for the the Milo, yeah. Bailo, Ojam.
Yes.
Yes. The maintaining solidarity for each country, not only for in the Turkey, internal Turkey, but almost to almost the other country in Indonesia, in Malaysia, and the other countries and the other part of the world. And then the fourth is network communication. Network communication, I think, same like maintaining solidarity, and the fifth is prepare for terror attack. I think when we like Indonesia, some of from the July, from the March until the July, our security apparatus can prevent and intercept the terror attack. They prepare the attack with the media, with the Instagram, and then with the Facebook, and then with the etc. Yeah, same like I think same like the Gulen movement before the terror. Before the coup time, they using WhatsApp to consolidating their members to for example, they using WhatsApp groups for the consolidating. And then give what we call give permission like that or something like that, and then they go to Bosporus Bridge and Bosporus Bridge to barricade the streets, and then fundraising now, not only in Indonesia, the other countries, not only in the term of Islamic religious extremism like GAD, ISIS, or ISIS or Al-Qaeda or Jemaah Islamiyah. The other terror groups, organization with left-wing ideology, right-wing ideology, they use media for fundraising. I think it's interesting things is they propaganda the what we call the glorification for the someone who died because of shooting by police. I want to mention about something. Hocam, var mı bir vakti daha?
Bitirebiliriz, bir tur daha yapacağız kısaca. Ama söylemek istediklerini toparla. You can just complete your last sentences, then we can move on, inshallah.
Okay. I think the last thing is I emphasize that the interesting thing is how the media now in the terror organization, they using media. They're using media for recruitment, for the propaganda, for maintaining solidarity, to the network, prepare terror attack and fundraising. This fundraising not only they using fintech. You know fintech, Hojam? Fintech is financial technology. They're using Bitcoin. They're using transfer money and the other and etc. for the movement.
I think there is a connection problem with Dr. Syauqillah. So what he has told us that there is a sort of a common structure observed in almost all terror organizations. He gave examples from Turkey, let's say PKK, Daesh, and the HKPC, and the latest one, Gulen organization. In fact, it was not a surprise while all these groups were together acting during Gezi Park uprising, and also in 2016, some of them also collaborating in any way. So, in fact, this FETO organization indirectly informed that they will act, they will conduct a coup through their media just before the days before from the coup. They announced that there will be a greater change, a drastic change in Turkish politics through their messaging, through their TV programs. So this is very important. And what has happened since 2016, 15 July, these groups still actively engaging, reunite their organization in the United States and in Western European countries. But as we know that they are also active in some other countries like in Southeast Asia. So from now on, I would like to ask a question, Dr. Abbas. I'm sorry, it takes time to reach all of you, but I hope it is okay. Dr. Abbas is the expert of globalization and international politics. My question will be, how could you comment on the structure of FETO and its engagement with global powers? Because as we see that Turkey is not just one single target of this coup. Behind it, there is a greater purpose to block, to interfere in the relationships between Turkey and other Muslim geographies or other countries. What would you like to say about this issue, Dr. Abbas? Welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Before I said thank you for inviting me to this program, and I'm so glad joining this program. My opinion, Turkey, Malaysia, and Indonesia have a similarity, namely as a country with a majority Muslim, a population, and a democratic system of a government. These three countries can be example that Islam is actually very compatible and very compatible in with democracy values. Yes. If we look Turkey at if we look Turkey before the coup, we will see Turkey is as a Muslim majority country with a stable democratic climate. It's good for example example Muslim country. before coup, Turkey is a good economy level, less influence to European. Let's influence European and the Middle East region. Turkey is superiority country in the implementation of a democratic values, such holding periodic election and the running of a relatively stable government. Besides that, in terms of quantity, the population of Turkey is one of the largest in the Europe. Asyukara yet miss million, right?
83 almost.
83. Okay.
Yeah.
This population, this Turkey population, dominated by youth. If we compare to other European countries, it makes Turkey one of the potential provide of labor in Europe, in Germany, England, and the other country. However, after failed coup attempt on July, many changes took place in Turkey. Although the coup attempt failed and successful suppressed, the coup attempt was regrettable because it had a number of negative impact on Turkey itself. After the coup attempt, Turkey seemed to retreat a few years backward, and economy destroyed. Economy destroyed. As the weakening of the exchange rate, the Turkish lira, US dollar. In addition, in social and political life, Turkey also experienced shocks after coup failed. For example, there were debates about the failed coup in Turkey. Yes, many questions like, was the FETO actively involved or what? And the real actor, the coup real actor, Turkey is also experienced a breakdown in relation various country after a coup, such as with the United States, with the United States over Golan extradition, as well the arrest for Priest Andrew Brunson, who was allegedly involved in coup occurred in 2016. Besides that, Turkey also experienced stagnation in its relation with the other country, especially with country in the Southeast Asian. Such Indonesia, Indonesia. I say honestly, there is a larger role from FETO and its supporting organization on the intensity and close relation between Indonesia and Turkey.
Later on, we can touch this issue. I mean, the relationships between Turkey and the regional countries. Please go on. But later on, we will touch it.
Okay.
Say something about the international level, the impact of this coup in Turkey.
The international level, this coup, Turkey, kepercayaan international, international trust, very
low.
Yes, because so many problem come after coup d'etat. instability, the political instability. Turkey domestic problem very big, very big. Oleh sebab itu apa? Oleh sebab itu. Therefore, Turkey for the political foreign policy. This Turkey not no. Not
well. This is understandable because as almost all the participants mentioned that this structure intervened significantly into state agencies, police force, military, foreign affairs, and the business circles, so on. So it created a greater weaknesses for a while, but after the Turkish state restructured itself. So it takes time, but at the same time, we should consider the international problems beyond this coup in Turkey affected particularly in economy. So so this is quite a transition period, but Turkey already has reached a sort of balance, fighting back against these external actors. So thank you very much, Dr. Abbas. So I would like to have one more session. We have already reached 2 hours, but if you have enough patience, I will have one more session, but lesser minutes, just a few minutes to collect your opinion about this development. So I would like to ask Ustad Ahmed Azam, you mentioned the relationship between Turkish and the Malaysian civil society organizations since 1990s. But after the scope, how the Turkish state can improve relationships generally in international circles, but in particular with the regional states like Malaysia and Indonesia. Please welcome, Ustad.
Alhamdulillah, I really enjoyed the discussion that we have had today. There are many insights into what is happening over there. But I can see the positive development after the coup d'etat, whereby the Erdogan government is playing more active role in reaching out to the Muslim world. I think this is very commendable, where Erdogan has established many disaster management organization, humanitarian organization. It is state funded, but performing the role of public diplomacy through humanitarian projects, through educational projects and whatnot. I think this is a very good approach as a form of public diplomacy. But my only small comment that this state-funded organization, even though performing the public diplomacy of a Turkish government, must not weaken the role played by the NGOs. What we call the role by the NGOs is very important, and they must be a form of collaboration between the state-funded organization dealing with disaster, dealing with refugees, with the NGOs that we are organizing as well from all over the world. Because the spirit of NGO and the spirit of state-funded organization is totally different. And I recommend this, what we call this endeavor by the government for reaching out through public diplomacy by forming a state-funded organization. But it has to work together and empower as well the NGOs that is already running in various parts of the world. I am one of the founder of the Union of NGO of the Islamic World. We have 300 NGOs all over the world, and most of them, they are looking Turkey for leadership. So they expect more collaboration. They expect more what we call synergistic cooperation between the NGO running on the ground and the new state-funded organization by the Turkish government. That will strengthen further what we call the effort of public diplomacy, the good face of Turkey, that Turkey is providing protection to all over the world. So I think in view of the short time that we have, so that is my only comment, and I recommend such endeavor, but it has to be a synergistic cooperation with the current NGO, even though it's not from Turkey, so that this collaboration will strengthen further the idea of the public diplomacy of the Turkish government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed Azam. So, Professor Hasbi Amiruddin, so you may talk in Bahasa, no problem, but let me ask my question. But beforehand, just few sentences I will quote from a prominent Turkish journalist and a political analyst, Avni Özgürel. He wrote down after the COP that he thinks that Erdogan's leadership is the main reason for the nation's defiance on the fateful night, 15 July. Erdogan went even further, calling people to take to the streets on live television. There are unheard of in Turkish history, even including, he says, Ottoman history. There is no COP that the people have resisted before. So that why this is a first, Özgürel asked. So my question from the inspiration of this Özgürel comment on the Erdogan's leadership. So you touched briefly in the first part, but please go on. How should we understand the leadership of Erdogan in Turkey, and plus the relationships, current relationships between Turkey and Indonesia? How could it be developed from this state? Please welcome Dr. Professor Hasbi Amiruddin. Please, you can speak in Bahasa, no problem. By the way, please open your microphone, Professor Hasbi. I'm sorry, Professor Hasbi, your microphone is closed. Please open your microphone. Your microphone. Hasbi, the microphone is closed. Hasbi, your microphone, please open your microphone.
Probably Sardar can control from his side.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work, Professor.
Okay. I think someone's trying to help him, just for a second. Please open your microphone.
Yeah, no.
Ini bagaimana, sudah ya?
Excellent. Yes. Please welcome Prof. Hasbi in Bahasa, please.
Oke, terima kasih. Saya mohon maaf karena saya akan memberikan jawaban bahasa Indonesia karena itu lebih jelas dalam pemikiran saya ya. Mulai dari awal saya mencari data dalam rangka melihat bagaimana kepemimpinan Erdogan, dan setelah 3 kali terakhir pada tahun 2018 saya mendapat informasi dari masyarakat Turki bahwa kepimpinan Erdogan itu baik, bercita-cita untuk suatu kebaikan, dan dia telah berusaha untuk membawa Turki kembali menjadi sebuah negara yang dikenal di dunia sebagai sebuah negara yang bermartabat. Kami di Indonesia pun merasa seperti itu. Namun dalam perjalanan terlihat ada unsur-unsur tertentu yang tidak sejalan dengan pemikiran Erdogan, dan itu saya pikir terjadi di mana-mana. Karena itu sebagai orang yang bercita-cita agar Turki bisa kembali menjadi sebuah negara yang berjaya seperti masa lalu, mungkin semua kita harus bekerja sama. Kalau ada orang yang salah paham, maka kita pun harus memberikan penjelasan. Saya mendapat sebuah informasi dari seorang imam di Ankara. Memang ada masyarakat Turki yang salah paham pada Erdogan. Ada yang berpikir Erdogan akan menciptakan sebuah negara Islam. Dengan demikian akan kesulitan berhubungan dengan negara-negara lain. Dan mereka juga malah berpikir kalau nanti Turki menjadi negara Islam, maka orang-orang Arab itu akan menyerbu Turki, dan akibatnya nanti orang-orang Turki tidak punya pekerjaan karena diambil oleh orang-orang lain. Ini saya pikir salah paham. Karena itu untuk meluruskan informasi dan bagaimana kita membawa Turki kepada suatu yang kita inginkan menjadi sebuah negara yang kuat, dan menurut saya itu sudah merupakan sebuah negara representatif dunia Islam sekarang. Karena itu semua kita yang berpikir bahwa apa yang dilakukan Erdogan itu baik, maka semua kita juga mempunyai tanggung jawab untuk membantu mensukseskan keinginan dari masyarakat Turki yang diwakili oleh Erdogan untuk menciptakan sebuah negara yang kuat, baik dalam bidang ekonomi, politik, dan saya kira juga efek pada politik adalah teknologi-teknologi yang membutuhkan kepada kekuatan politik negara dan kekuatan pertahanan mereka. Nah, secara umum, kendati pun ada kritik di mana-mana, saya masih melihat Erdogan itu masih memiliki niat baik dan masih berjalan pada jalan yang lurus, ingin membawa Turki kepada sebuah negara yang jaya, negara yang kuat dalam berbagai bidang, dalam bidang ekonomi, dalam bidang ilmu pengetahuan, dalam bidang politik, teknologi, dan lain-lain. Dan saya beberapa dengan teman-teman lain, dan saya juga membaca masyarakat Muslim dunia sangat bangga dengan Turki sekarang, dan kepingin sekarang Turki menjadi juru bicara negara-negara Islam, dan mudah-mudahan nanti negara-negara Islam lain juga akan bisa bangun seperti Turki, sehingga umat Islam tidak diremehkan di mana-mana. Seperti yang kita lihat sekarang di Palestina, bagaimana orang Islam tiap hari terbunuh, teraniaya. Apa yang terjadi di Cina, di Uighur, begitu banyak orang Muslim teraniaya. Di India pun juga sebahagian, di Rohingya. Maunya negara Islam itu bersatu, kuat, dan menjaga agar umat Islam dunia tidak diperlakukan seperti itu. Nah, sekarang yang baru berani bicara untuk itu cuma Turki. Karena itu kita dukung Turki untuk berbicara hal-hal seperti itu. Ketika Turki sudah berbicara, maka dunia Islam lain maunya mendukung itu untuk sementara. Kalau nanti negara-negara Islam sudah kuat juga bisa ngomong sendiri begitu. Jadi saya sampai sekarang masih melihat apa yang dilakukan oleh Erdogan masih berniat baik dan masih berjalan pada jalan yang lurus. Sehingga kita masih perlu membantu dalam berbagai hal agar cita-cita dari Erdogan itu menciptakan negara Turki yang kuat, umat Islam yang kuat. Kita semua harus memberikan partisipasi. Jikapun ada kritik di mana-mana, seharusnya kita pun bisa memberikan kritik kembali dengan metode yang benar. Karena kadang-kadang juga pers internasional kadang-kadang tidak adil, mendiskreditkan umat Islam. Di mana-mana umat Islam yang ingin bangun didiskreditkan. Karena itu maunya umat Islam juga berani menjawab apa yang dilabelkan oleh orang-orang oleh media internasional yang tidak benar itu, supaya mereka juga tahu apa sesungguhnya yang diinginkan oleh umat Islam. Umat Islam tidak ingin menjajah. Umat Islam ingin menciptakan rahmat bagi semesta alam. Rahmat itu bukan hanya untuk orang Islam saja yang diinginkan, tapi ke semua makhluk yang ada ini, dimanapun dunia itu harus hidup dalam sejahtera, dalam rahmat. Jadi ini yang diinginkan. Maksudnya rahmat adalah tidak lagi ada orang teraniaya. Tidak ada lagi orang yang terpinggirkan. Tidak ada lagi orang-orang yang didiskreditkan. Jadi semua hak manusia ini diberikan menurut haknya masing-masing. Baik secara individu, secara kelompok, secara negara, dan demikian juga kelompok-kelompok agama. Semua harus diberi kesempatan dengan keadilan yang sangat baik. Inilah yang diharapkan oleh Islam, dan itu juga saya pikir sedang diperjuangkan oleh Erdogan. Karena itu mari sama-sama kita membantu, baik dengan opini, bahkan juga seperti masyarakat Indonesia banyak sekali yang berdoa agar Erdogan panjang umur dan bisa membawa Turki paling tidak ya sepanjang Erdogan masih bisa memimpin Turki itu. Dan mudah-mudahan ketika Erdogan nanti menyerahkan jabatannya pada generasi selanjutnya pun maunya melanjutkan apa yang dilakukan oleh Erdogan sekarang. Terima kasih. Terima kasih Pak Mehmet.
Professor Hasbi Amiruddin. The leadership is very important, not only just for Turkey, for other especially Muslim nations. When they have a strong leadership, they have sort of stability, political stability, and the social consensus. So these are the triggering points for the economic development and the political development at the same time, and to become a sort of a good image, representative image in international sphere, no doubt. So that's why, I mean, one of the reasons why we are holding this program with the participants from Southeast Asia, especially from Malaysia and Indonesia, because it's a historical and the traditional continuity as we observe throughout the early centuries. Let's say, if I give some examples from 19th century, let's say 1852-53 Crimean War, 1877-78 Russian War, 1911 Trablus War in Tripoli, North Africa, and the Balkanian War 1913, and 1922 Turkish Independence War. All the stages observed and witnessed by Muslim world, especially by the Muslims in South Asia and Southeast Asia. So today also we are looking for, we are observing the same attitude, political attitude of the people in those regions, looking at Turkey, and they are wishing the goodness of Turkey to be a sort of leader for those regions. This is very important aspect of the leadership of Erdogan. it is a sort of repetition we observed briefly almost 1 decade during the era of Turgut Özal between 1983 and 1991. But in the last decades, Turkish profile, international profile, significantly improved. So that's why the importance of this coup, it's not just a national threat to Turkey, but because of this improvement of Turkey, it became a global threat through the relationships of Turkey with the relevant countries, including in Malaysia and Indonesia. Some audience directing us some questions. Let's say they are talking about the economy of Turkey, how declined. I mean, of course, we repetitively expressing that this FETO terror structure intervened in almost all social institutions, state institutions. They acquired not only just the intangible power, but also they acquired very material power. That's why today they could survive in Central Asia, in Western European countries, in the United States of America, because of their early investments through their cadres. When they moved from Turkey, they took their material values at the same time. So it created a sort of problem, a sort of dilemma at the same time for Turkish economy, plus some other implicit sanctions directed to Turkish state by, particularly by some Western powers. It is also a sort of proof that this FETO structure, not a lone wolf acting itself, but collaborating with the international circles against the national security of Turkey. From now on, I would like to ask a question to Dr. Monir about this international issue again. Since this FETO structure has intentional expansion in politics through a civil society organization, it became an international phenomenon, not only in Islamic world or Muslim nations, as we today observing in Malaysia and Indonesia, but also some other countries in Western Europe. But at the same time, we have been seeing that, observing that these countries still yet to understand the structure, the intention of this group. So what would you like to say the importance of this group in international scale? What sort of lessons should be learned and acted accordingly, because the threat is not just for Turkey? Please welcome.
Okay, thank you. With regard to the international dimension of Gulen movement, I would say that outside Turkey, the Gulen movements are basically very strong in the European continent as well as North American region. Of course, some part of the Central Asian region. If you talk about the threat that Turkey has faced, and in light of that, if you ask what other countries should do, then I would say, well, every country acts against any other civilian or whatever organization according to their own civil domestic laws or context. So this is what we have observed, that over the past few years, Turkey has branded this Gulen movement as terrorist, but not necessarily that European countries or America did the same, because they are not convinced that their organizations or their activities fall in the category of terrorist activities. So, yes, I was reading a news report today that Gulen movement is getting very strong in Germany. and the German government is not taking action against the movement, because German government is not convinced that its activities fall in the category of terrorism. So yes, those countries will act according to their own laws and rules and regulations. Now, if Turkey wants to claim that yes, this is a terrorist organization and this is harmful for every country where the organization is working, then it is the responsibility of Turkey to prove that this organization is really harmful beyond the Turkish border. But to do that, Turkey has to prove some other two issues that Turkey has to deal with. One is, both are domestic. One is that in order to eliminate the Gulen movement from Turkey, the government has taken many steps and policies, and that certainly created lots of opposition to the government inside Turkey, even though this opposition is highly suppressed. Maybe the opposition is not capable to voice its concern because of the control. This is one, that this type of resentment against the government may explode anytime. This is one thing that the Turkish government has to be concerned and prove that the government is dealing fairly. Then the countries outside can see Turkey as Turkish government as credible with regard to the Gulen movement. The second is, yes, the Erdogan leadership is very, very effective within Turkey as well as outside Turkey. Internationally, the country's profile has been uplifted because of his personal image, because of his diplomacy and so many things. But then the question is, what about his legacy? Is he creating his legacy to survive after him, or his legacy will die after or as soon as he leaves power? What will happen after that? Is he creating a leadership lineup who can take over and continue with the same image that he has created over 20 years of time? This is a big challenge. If he can meet this challenge, then he can create a credible standing with regard to the FETO movement internationally, and can make the international community, or specifically the countries where Gulen movements are taking shelter safely, those countries can take action against this organization. Thank you very much.
Dr. Omar, thank you very much for your contribution. Well, in fact, the other countries we mentioned, the Western European, United States, some Central Asian countries particularly, they are resisting not to get convinced because of some reasons, which are quite understandable because of relationships with Turkey, not just directly related to this FETO code. The same thing also observed, let's say, in Europe or in Japan. For instance, in East Asia, PKK terror organization very active as numbers in Japan, but the Japanese government, though a good relationship relatively with Turkey, they do not want to act what Turkey expects. After the coup, Turkey, through a judicial system, they submitted all the relevant witnesses and the evidences to the US and some European countries, but still they are waited to act accordingly. I mean, the system in Turkey, the democratic system, the court system, quite relevant to European system because of European relationships, European Union. But there are some other issues, ideological differences, or their global power structure not allow them to act accordingly, to be seen together with Turkey. Seems that even in Germany and Switzerland seems that to be headquartered both for PKK and the Gulen movement. So thank you very much for this point. So I would like to ask Dr. Yon Mahmoudi. I think he's over here. So my question is that how this coup has been perceived by the intellectuals, academicians, journalists in Southeast Asia generally, but it's too generalization, but particularly in Indonesia. Why? Because just day after coup, when I was in Jakarta, 16th of July, a member of Gulen group as a journalist identity emerged one of the private TV channels. So he discoursed against the Turkish state and the Turkish nation. And one of the significant media organization in Indonesia, they were invited, their members invited by FETO group to visit their leadership cadre in Pennsylvania in the United States of America to convince them that they were not in the part of this action. So what would you like to say briefly, how the people, particularly intellectuals, academics, journalists, perceive this coup in Turkey and how the relationship can be improved in those levels?
Yeah, okay. I think the attempt coup d'etat by what we call FETO for the Indonesia is very, surprise many Indonesians, citizen, observer, because the relationship between the movement in Indonesia. In Indonesia, we see the movement in particularly doing the education and social activity and some business activity. So it is surprising that then, in fact, this coup d'etat associated with this group. And of course, the group also trying to convince the public of Indonesia that the activity has nothing to do with this kind of the coup d'etat effort and any kind of radical activity or even the terrorist activity. So this is the part of that their campaign. As long as the group still keep in the educational, social, and still there is no evidence that they support directly financially to the activity, then the group still operate in Indonesia. But then the people try to think what happened really to the group and try to find about the history of the group, is it true that they have also related to the such attempt to have the coup d'etat in Turkey? Of course, this phenomenon of the coup d'etat also changed the perception of the Indonesian people. Some, but not the whole, because of the long experience with the Gulen movement, that there is something that they have to know about the group. So what is the real activity, what the real character of the group? So this is also, I think, changed the mind of the some Indonesian group. But still, as long as they still keep in education, social, business activity, and there is no evidence that they also play the political issue that can jeopardize the relationship between Indonesia and Turkey, then the group, I think, still in Indonesia, and probably change the name through the other organization or education. I think that's all about the image of the group in Indonesia and also the perception about the coup d'etat. Yeah.
Dr. Mahmoudi, thank you very much for your answer to this question. And briefly, I would like to collect
You're welcome.
a few opinions of Dr. Syauqi and then Dr. Abbas. Then I will give one more session just to Ustaz Ahmed Azam. Doctor, I think you are over here.
Yes, yes.
Would you like to?
Sorry, my son is.
Okay.
Okay.
What would you like to say if you are proper? I mean, the last thing, your opinion about this issue.
The coup. I think that sorry, Mr. Abbas first, and I before maybe Mr. Abbas first, and then I will after Mas Abbas.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Abbas, welcome. The last sentences, because you study in Turkey, you engage with the Turkish community. Currently, you are an academician in Indonesia. So after this coup, how Turkey and Indonesia could develop bilateral relationships to overcome this difficulty? Because we have been observing that they have been blocking the relationships. They can give direction to some institutions, to some bureaucrats in Indonesia. What would you like to say about this issue?
Oke, tentang ini.
Briefly.
Oke,
Kalau boleh bisa juga bahasa Indonesia.
Oke, terima kasih.
Comfortable, yes.
Turki menurut saya sebuah negara yang sangat luar biasa dengan penduduk muslim namun bisa menjalankan demokrasi yang begitu baik. Namun terjadi perubahan besar ketika kudeta 2016. Terjadi perubahan yang sangat besar dalam sistem politik Turki, baik di dalam negeri sendiri juga dengan hubungannya dengan luar. Perubahan pertama yang mohon maaf harus saya katakan mungkin sedikit negatif adalah Presiden saat ini memiliki kekuatan yang begitu sangat besar. Dan ini adalah ancaman bagi demokrasi. Indonesia pernah memasuki tahap seperti itu ketika di bawah kepemimpinan Presiden Soeharto, di mana Soeharto memiliki wewenang yang sangat besar, absolute power, absolute corrupt. Itu yang terjadi dengan Soeharto. Saya tidak berharap Turki mengalami fase seperti itu, tapi tanda-tanda ke arah itu sudah ada. Bahwa ada stabilitas yang tercipta di Turki, tapi kita bisa lihat ini stabilitas yang bisa saja semu, karena rakyat seolah-olah takut akan bersuara dan sebagainya. Ini menjadi langkah mundur Turki sebagai negara yang seharusnya layak menjadi contoh buat negara-negara Islam di dunia, terutama Indonesia. Karena seperti kita tahu, Indonesia itu sejak awal berdirinya cetak birunya itu dari Turki. Bahkan Soekarno itu melihat sekularisme yang ada di Turki dan dia bawa ke Indonesia, menjadikan Indonesia yang berpenduduk muslim tapi bisa berjalan dengan kaum minoritas dari bagian timur yang mayoritas didiami oleh orang di luar muslim. Nah, Turki ini sudah menjadi soko guru dari banyak negara, tentunya juga negara-negara muslim, baik dalam kepemimpinan sekularismenya dan agamanya. Cuman ke depan ini kita harus bisa menunjukkan kasih sayang kita kepada Erdogan dengan cara mengkritik dia, dengan cara berani mengkritik dia. Jangan sampai kekuasaan itu menjerumuskan dia. Kita kita tidak ingin lihat lagi episode-episode sedih dari kepemimpinan Turki di masa lalu. Kita berharap Erdogan di usia senjanya, di kepemimpinannya yang sudah sangat lama, seharusnya bisa memunculkan kader pengganti dia. Dan ini yang belum kelihatan. Tapi satu kelebihan Erdogan yang kita harus kita harus banggakan, Erdogan adalah sosok yang berani tampil. Sosok yang berani mengambil resiko, baik di dalam negeri maupun di hubungannya dengan dunia internasional. Erdogan seolah-olah tidak peduli bahwa seluruh dunia itu mengutuk dia. Bagi dia adalah apa yang dia yakini benar, itu yang dia jalankan. Ini salah satu sisi positifnya. Tinggal bagaimana kita sebagai masyarakat internasional dan juga rakyat Turki mengingatkan Erdogan ada jalur-jalur yang tetap dia harus patuhi. Menurut saya seperti itu.
Okay, Dr. Abbas, thank you very much. Your observation quite valuable, but at the same time we should see the developments in the recent years in Turkey. What happened always, probably unintentionally, always confirming the position of Erdogan. I mean, some leaders left the party, or some leaders have a certain distance with President Erdogan. But at the same time, the issues, the problems, either internal domestic problems in Turkey or the regional problems in Middle East or globally, confirming the political decision-making process of Erdogan. So this is quite interesting. I mean, as Weberian understanding, unintentional consequence of the power of Erdogan. Even some people argue that Erdogan does not want to be long-term. But the conditions in Turkey, even the party itself, the opposition parties, their structure, does not give hope for other leadership, or as much as he has acquired the power. Thank you very much. I think now, as a last few minutes, I directed already a few questions to Ustad Ahmed Azam, because of our audiences also submitting their questions. Ustad Ahmed Azam, please welcome. Two questions I wrote down to you. One of them related to this Zaman background of Islamic background of FETO terror structure. As we know, there are at least 10 Bediüzzaman groups inspired by Bediüzzaman in Turkey. Some of them also having activities in international circles, including Malaysia, Indonesia. And the second question is about the Al-Arkam movement was banned in Malaysia 1980s, as far as I guess. Any relationship between Al-Arkam and FETO terror group? Please welcome, briefly.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we are already at the end of our discussion. But rightly, you said that we have a big difficulty in convincing the Malaysian public that FETO group is a disservice to Islam in Turkey, because our introduction to Hizmet movement is through Bediüzzaman Said Nursi. So the frontliner, the Hoja on the ground, they talk about Risalah in Nur, they talk about Imam Bediüzzaman Said Nursi. That really attract us to join them in 1996, until when they realized that the frontliner, there are sincere brothers working on the ground for Islam, but the higher echelon, they are the one who's controlling the organization which way that they want. And as we know now that Fethullah Gulen has been in Pennsylvania for more than 20 years, what we call and his group in Pennsylvania that is controlling the sincere Hoja on the ground, and this took us a few years to convince the Malaysian public that it is a totally a different organization. They are using Said Nursi as a ploy to invite people to join their organization. And the similarity between Arkam and the FETO, it is what we call a kind of a cult, whereby in Arkam they are what we call they have a blind loyalty to their sheikh, you know, and the sheikh can converse with our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Same thing with Fethullah Gulen. He claimed that he can communicate with our Prophet, and the system is you are the Hoja and the introduction that asking the people, the follower, for a blind loyalty to the Hoja. These are the similarity that control the organization. So I think this is my short answer. And Alhamdulillah, after 4 years of coup d'etat, things are getting better in Malaysia. For example, people understand more about what is happening in Turkey, and hopefully with more information and program like this, what we call more and more people will understand and comprehend on the issue of FETO and what happened in Turkey. Thank you very much.
Ustad Ahmad Azam, thank you very much for your contribution. Just one lesser than 1 minute, Dr. Syauqillah will add something, then hopefully we will
okay.
Session,
okay, thank you, Professor Mehmet. Sorry for my
bahasa boleh juga.
Okay.
Lebih baik.
Ya, oke. Saya ingin memperkuat tentang diplomasi Turki di internasional. Saya pikir ini yang menjadi poin penting mengapa kemudian sebetulnya diplomasi internasional sebelum konflik antara Gulen dengan Erdogan, itu diplomasi internasional lebih dimainkan oleh peran one half or second diplomacy, second track diplomasi. Saya pikir ini menjadi poin penting agar diplomasi yang dijalankan oleh negara Turki diperkuat, seperti pendirian Yunus Emre, sudah ada Yunus Emre, lalu kemudian ada satu organisasi saya lupa itu namanya YTB, dan ada satu lagi yang sudah kami juga tanda tangan UI dengan lembaga tersebut, Yunus Emre. Dan saya pikir ini penting karena bagaimanapun kelemahan yang dulu dilakukan oleh negara Turki lebih mengedepankan soal second track diplomasi, ternyata itu malah menjadi serangan balik sebetulnya dalam konteks diplomasi Turki. Saya pikir dalam konteks ke depan Turki harus memainkan diplomasi yang memperkuat dan mengetahui sebetulnya apa yang diinginkan oleh negara tersebut. Saya cukup senang dengan misalkan adanya dubes Turki yang berlatar belakang guru besar ilmu tasawuf. Ini sangat menarik sekali. Artinya sebenarnya pemerintah Turki, Foreign Policy Authority yang ada di Turki sudah paham, mengerti dengan apa yang ada di Indonesia. Saya pikir pelan-pelan sebetulnya diplomasi ini yang perlu diperkuat ke depan, soal diplomasi agar supaya negara tidak lagi bertumpu, oke, negara boleh bertumpu pada second track diplomasi, akan tetapi one track diplomasi ini menjadi penting sebetulnya. Negara menjadi komando atas diplomasi yang dilakukan oleh negara bangsa tersebut. Yang kedua yang saya ingin tambahkan, bagaimanapun juga kami memahami bahwa apa yang ada di Turki hari ini itu adalah menurut saya kegagalan dari transformasi kelompok Gulen dalam masuk ke dalam politik, ya. Kalau menurut saya itu yang menjadi poin penting. Kalau di Indonesia kita lihat ada Nahdlatul Ulama, ada Muhammadiyah, ada Persis, dan semua organisasi masuk ke negara. Dan tidak ada ketika mereka masuk ke negara, mereka mengkooptasi suatu lembaga negara. Mereka berbagi karena solidaritas, toleransi, kesamaan value, segala macam. Kendati memang ada upaya-upaya untuk masuk melalui misalkan kelompok yang kami menamai sudah Hizbut Tahrir. Akan tapi kami sudah melarang. Nah, ini menjadi penting untuk juga kami melihat adanya transformasi yang gagal ketimbang apa yang terjadi di Miligorus, ya, Mehmet Hoja. Miligorus relatif berhasil dalam konteks mereka masuk ke politik dan ternyata mereka bisa mengakomodasi kepentingan politik yang ada di Turki. Saya pikir ini menjadi poin penting juga. Saya melihat dari kacamata orang di luar Turki melihat gerakan Islam politik yang ada di Turki. Saya pikir Mehmet Oja tadi sudah sampaikan oleh pembicara yang lain. Saya hanya menambahkan itu saja. Terima kasih, Mas.
Oke, terima kasih banyak kepada panitia yang semua hadir di sini dari Malaysia dan Indonesia. Thank you very much for all of your contribution. Exactly, this is very important historical day of Turkey, not only Turkey, but Islamic world, we accept this one. And 15 July of 2016 was the commemoration of this coup. And at that day, that night, 250 people passed away. We believe that they became shaheed. 2,200 people almost injured. They sacrificed their lives without any hesitation, and the other millions of people who were in the squares in their provinces in Turkey had the same intention. So we would like to see the coming future, the relationship in Turkey and especially Southeast Asian nations, Malaysia, Indonesia, will be more developed and overcome this difficulty we have been observed in the recent past. Thank you very much for your being over here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Teşekkür ederim